welcome to episode 3 of the AceTone sessions. My name is Tim Whalen, and it's certainly been a while, almost 2 years as a matter of fact. But I can't think of a better way to relaunch this series than welcoming my good friend, saxophonist Ted Baker. Ted is simply one of the most impressive musicians I've ever met. Night after night, fellow musicians and audience members alike can attest to being floored by his inventiveness and his big, powerful sound. He's worked with so many amazing musicians, including Barry Harris, George Duke, John Faddis, Vanessa Rubin, Victor Lewis, and so many more. So sit back, relax, and enjoy episode 3 of the AceTone sessions. Ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Ted Baker.
Hello.
Thanks for being here.
My pleasure.
You're one of my favorite musicians anywhere.
Oh, come on, man.
Serious? I think many musicians around here would say that same statement. It's always an inspiration to play with you and hang and talk music, talk life, so I'm really glad you could do this. I'm trying to showcase my friends, people I don't know, just have people come in here and we can do some playing, and the people watching and listening can get to know each person a little deeper. So I know that you grew up in Boston, but you were born, what, upstate New York?
Upstate New York, yep,
Okay.
Binghamton.
How old were you when you went to Boston?
Just a little guy.
Okay.
2 years old. So we were back and forth between New York and Boston all the time.
Right.
Like, constantly.
Yeah.
You know, so cousins, family there, grandma, and so a lot of ties back home there and a little bit in PA too.
But you spent most of your life growing up in Boston.
Yep, yeah, great music scene.
Oh,
It's awesome.
yeah. Do you recall the specific moment where that light went off about music or the saxophone, or was there a specific moment you remember? It was just...
It wasn't really like saxophone. It was more like I want to do that. It was, my mom was a piano teacher, really good. Had a lot of students in the area, and all of us started young. My brothers and I, when we were about 4 or 5 years old, all of us were playing. Well, actually, like 3. So, as soon as we could understand what she was telling us to do, she was definitely pushing us on the piano.
Okay.
And then, oldest brother went to an instrument, to a brass instrument, and he played trombone. The second brother played trumpet. I wanted to play drums, but they said no. You got to play a melodic instrument, and I was like, well, I like the saxophone too, and that's different than what my brothers are playing. So
Right.
So I played the saxophone. Well, that was around. I was getting close to 10 at that time. But before that, when I was 7, that's when I saw Dizzy, Stan Getz, with Art Blakey, Al McKibben, I think, was on bass, and I'm not sure, who it was, but I'm pretty sure it was a young James Williams on piano at that time.
Wow.
On that tour.
Yeah.
Because I did some digging later to see who was on the road with that band then, and it was, I didn't know that I wanted to play the saxophone then. I was playing piano at the time, and I liked jazz already. My mom just brought us to this concert, and we'd go to different jazz concerts.
Sure.
Because she loved jazz.
Yeah.
She was constantly playing everything classical, a lot of church music all the time.
You've told me she was really into piano players, like jazz piano players.
Yeah, so a lot of times I'd be asleep under the piano taking naps and stuff. While she was getting ready for church, she'd do all of her numbers for church, make sure she had everything together, and then she'd pull out list.
Right.
This, that, the other, everything.
She ran the gamut.
Everything, yeah.
And you said she wasn't she into
unreal.
reading? She would love reading transcriptions.
Oh yeah. So then, she'd play a bunch of Chopin and everything else, and then she'd start pulling out like Herbie Hancock transcriptions.
That's so great.
Hey, she had some Chick Corea and some others, and she couldn't improvise, but she was really good at just reading. She had an affinity for certain pianists. Like she loved Chick, she loved Herbie, and she loved McCoy Tyner. But there was something about the touch that she didn't like as much with Chick and McCoy. She liked Herbie because he's kind of a little different, Well,
Herbie's got a little bit deeper.
Yeah.
Chick and McCoy can be
more percussive,
and it's not surfacey, but it's lighter. There's less of a weight to it.
Right. So I mean, you understand all this, And she really liked to have pianists who had a little different touch. She liked Ellis Marsalis. Mm-hmm. She liked Cyrus Chestnut a lot. In fact, I brought her to see Cyrus, and I forgot to say this before. I brought her to see. She was like, "Cyrus is coming to town." I'm like, "Yeah, you wanted me to bring you?" This was outside Boston, and I think I was living in New York at the time, and I just happened to be home. And Zach was playing with her. Was playing with Cyrus then. Yeah.
Zach Pride, guest number 1 of AceTone Sessions. A very good friend of ours.
So Zach and I think it was.
That's great.
I think it was
Neil.
That. I think it was Neil Smith. And
really?
They just loved on my mom, man. Everyone was really cool with her. and she loves Cyrus Chestnut. And once I turned her on to Mulgrew, because I knew she'd like Mulgrew, she was way into Mulgrew Miller.
Well, Mulgrew's
like just
touch.
The touch, the everything. And if you think about the way Ellis is, and it's kind of, there's certain similarities.
Yes.
Just their,
Well, there's
their
that
overall touch.
It's that weight.
Yeah.
It's not heavy-handed, but it's just like when Herbie or Mulgrew, those are great examples. When they play a chord, it's just like, it's like fauna. You know what I mean? It's just, there's such weight behind it.
They're all just amazing pianists, and everyone's got their own sound.
Yeah, exactly.
And that, basically, that transferred into saxophone.
Yeah.
For me, it was really, that was a big part of what I did, and what I transcribed was a lot of piano players, and put it on my horn.
Well, with that, it just, going back to your mom quick, it must have been, that's a special bond to have, not only, your mother, but you can share this love of music. That's really, not everybody can do that.
Yeah,
to have somebody that would understand, like, maybe what your frustrations, or...
Yeah, absolutely.
That's a really amazing, unique part of your relationship.
She pushed us hard, too. She was pretty rough.
Well,
get that reed wet. Make sure that reed is working, and you have a good buzz. It was like that.
Well, it certainly paid off.
Good. So yeah, now and then, and a lot of people in the church I grew up in and stuff. After time, I'd come back now and then and do something. We'd play a duo or something. So it was really cool to have that.
Great.
Yeah.
So you've got a new album out.
Yeah. Yeah.
Pretty recent release.
Yeah.
And ironically, it's an album of
duos.
Oh, okay. Nice.
Duos Volume 1.
Very cool.
Yep.
How did it come about?
I was basically looking for spare time after having our second child, and I always wanted to do a duos project, because I've always liked playing in duos for years, with gigs with just a bass player, or gigs with just a pianist, and then there's occasional gigs with just a drummer.
Yeah.
So I wanted to kind of explore that, and also do something that I hadn't really done before. Well, I had, but not like this, where we're that exposed with just a singer. So sax and singer.
Got to be really comfortable to do that.
Yeah, Sharon Clark is amazing singer who just came in and knocked it out. So it was a real intimate track on the recording. And then I used several drummers.
Okay.
Quincy Phillips, Todd Harrison, and Alejandro Lucchini.
Yeah.
Who's just amazing. There's other drummers that we couldn't schedule. I have Chris Fun on bass, great DC-based bass player who I'm playing with tonight.
And him and Quincy.
Quincy and Chris, we
go way back.
Yeah, we go pretty far back at this point, and they go back further than before I moved here, and so it's just great playing with them individually and as a trio.
Yeah.
So I wanted to do this duos album. There'll be a trio album coming out soon as well. So it's kind of, and then I want to do a studio album with a lot of my other compositions and stuff, and probably record like one for Cedar, then with maybe a quintet, do it a little different. But yeah, also on the Duos Volume 1, I have Paul Piper, who's one of your guests.
Yeah.
And John Lee as well.
Yeah, fantastic.
And so between everybody, I did some jazz, and I also did a country tune. From the
that might be one of my favorite. You and John.
Yeah, it's interesting. It's like,
and John just he just gets right in there perfectly. It's just he's so versatile.
Well, it was like after my mom passed, my dad was over on those holidays. Because none of us, we just wanted to get him around us, and he was just we didn't want him being alone, and he was over, and we watched that Crazy Heart movie, and Brand New Angel came on, and we were just like, wow, that was a really good song.
Yeah.
And I was like, that's an interesting song. You don't hear someone that's like a really mature tune. And so anyway, I've done it several times. with the CD release, and we even ended the night with that tune. And
It's a great way to end the night. It's a
it's
a beautiful way
right?
to close out.
And so I think it's the last, yeah, it's the last track on the album too. But it was a pleasure working with every single musician. I think each one is extraordinary in their own right. And you know, I there was a lot of other players I wanted to get on, but just scheduling wise, like yourself, and so if it's Duos Volume 1,
There's
there'll
always
be
a
a
second
Duos
volume,
Volume 2.
right.
That's right.
So where can they get it? Can they get it on your site?
Yep, just go to tedbaker.com, TEDD baker.com, and you can just click on. There's several ways to get it there.
Okay, good.
And you'll have it.
Awesome.
Yep.
So the reason I started this series was, I guess, threefold. One, I wanted to work on duo playing. Two, it's a way for me to constantly be writing new music, because my goal is to write a new tune for each guest.
Oh, okay. Oh,
Like
that's great.
Bastogne, although we've done that in our small group,
Yeah.
I wrote that with your soprano in mind.
Oh, cool.
So,
Yeah.
but then the other side of it is I'd like to showcase music of the guest. You know, I think it's just a good thing for community, and just letting people have yet another outlet just to maybe bring something to the table.
Yeah.
So you brought a great tune, one for Cedar.
One for Cedar.
And what's the obviously the inspiration is Cedar Walton,
Right. Yeah.
But maybe dig a little deeper. Tell me where it came from. And
I think it was not long after he had passed.
okay,
Just something came. I just heard it, and it basically wrote itself. And I had seen him not too long before that at the Vanguard. And I was like, it was an opportunity. I was like, oh man, I'm totally dead tired, but I'm like, I'm going. I went over there. It was like, he was on fire that night. There were so many guys there checking him out, because he was like, people were texting each other and stuff. You better get down here and see Cedar now, because he was great that night. And he's always great, but the trio was just really happening. And he was so humble too. There was another pianist in the audience, and he was just like, he gave them props, and then he's like, all right, we're gonna start now. And then he just destroyed it.
yeah,
It was great. One tune after another, and I've checked him out a lot. I saw him with a lot of different in quintets and stuff. I've seen his different trios of his over a long period of time. So it was always a treat every single time, every recording, and I love his composing. So some of the stuff in the tune has a little bit of Cedar in there,
Yeah.
And just a good tribute to him. It's something I heard, and I thought it would be good as a tribute to him.
What does music mean to you?
Music to me, music is like the doorway between your heart, your mind, and your body. It can lead right to like a spiritual zone. It's a doorway that really brings like everybody through it. Sometimes at the exact same time if everybody's listening, but everyone comes from different backgrounds. So it could be your experience, you know, and your love for jazz music and really understanding and embracing the fact that this is out of the black experience. So there's that part, or the part that you're, you know, entrenched in gospel, or you've been completely entrenched in church music, or you've been completely entrenched in classical music. All of that can come together through a doorway that, you know, like I said, it goes body, mind, heart, and it just can go right to your soul.